राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादिवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना गौर हरे गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद ताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नमाचार्य श्रद्धास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगामय यमुनामय की जय। भक्ति देव तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल हरीश टू अस मुरली ओडीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल हरीश टू अस मुरली ओडीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल हरीश टू अस मुरली ओडीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल हरीश ऑल हरीश ऑल हरीश ऑल हरीश। श्री गुरु गौरांग गौरांग श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण विष्णाय पुत्र श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधान नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेष शून्यवाद पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Thank you for joining. A reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 70. We're almost close to this chapter, end of this chapter. Last section we were studying for a few weeks. Apuryamanam. Before that, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Harihi Om Tat Sat. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse number 70. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti advat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sasantim apnoti na kamakami. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti advat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sasantim apnoti na kamakami. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti advat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sasantim apnoti na kamakami. Synonyms. Apuryamanam, always being filled. Achala pratishtam, steadily situated. Samudram, the ocean. Apa, waters. Pravishanti, enter. Yadvat, as. Tadvat, so. Kama, desires. Yam, unto whom. Pravishanti, enter. Sarve, all. Sa, that person. Shantim, peace. Apnoti, achieves. No, not. Kama, Kamakami, one who desires to fulfill desires. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not from the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Right. Please repeat. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Verse number 71. विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति. विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति. विहाय कामान् यस्य सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति. Synonyms: Vihaya, giving up; kaman, material desires for sense gratification; who; sarvan, all; puman, a person; charati, lives; nispruha, desireless; nirmama, without a sense of proprietorship; nirahankaraha, without false ego; sa, he; shantim, perfect peace; adhigacchati, attains. Translation: A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Little bit. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. I'll try to understand these verses. So, a lot of the detailed subject matter. This is these verses, concluding verses. By the here, Lord Krishna is giving examples of ocean and river, examples comparing. Why is he talking about desires? So we'll try to understand. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gnananjana Chakshurunmelitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Grim Yat Krupatamham Vande Sri Gurum Denatarinam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Vaishnav ki Jai. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्. श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. So, we are in this chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. Last few verses, 69 to 72, which we could have read because that is again these all connected. So, but we will see. So, if time permits. So, this chapter, this is the 6th section. First section is Arjuna is expressing his last reason or doubt for not performing, not wanting to do the duty, identifying with his body and extended body. So he has given various reasons. That was the section 1. The last one is no, I don't know what to do, to fight or not fight. So not know what he's supposed to do. That was the last question or a doubt or a demon in his mind. That was section 1. Section 2 is the surrender to the spiritual master. 2.7 is the crucial point for any living entity who wants to progress. Then the third section is coming up with Krishna explaining about Sankhya Yoga or Gnana Yoga. And then Krishna is explaining about the Sankhya, which is nothing but the soul and the body. That is the first fundamentals we need to know. Otherwise, we can't understand anything further. So that's why Krishna is presenting very systematically. Actually, this is the layout of the whole book. At the end of the chapter 2, that's why every line, every word, we have to read carefully. Bhagavad Gita. Generally, we might not have read or read this line clearly. At the end of chapter 2, it says, last verse in the purport, if you read, Prabhupada is commenting from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has summarized the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as being the contents for the whole text, which means the whole book. In the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matters are Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents for the complete text. So, this is what we have been again and again reiterating this point. So that's why that is coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that is coming from Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada's books. This point, what is being stressed upon in this chapter, what is being stressed upon in the first 6 chapters, what is being stressed in the middle 6 chapters, last 6 chapters. So it is very, very important to know how the sections are laid out, what exactly Krishna is speaking. Then only we can apply easily. Otherwise, it's very difficult if we don't even understand the context and what the Lord is trying to tell us, and how it is connected, and how it is connected in our life, and how we can implement. So then the first section, second section, surrender, third section is the Sankhya Yoga, body and soul, and then further is going beyond. Okay, now about the duty. You understood the Jiva in connection with the Supreme Lord. Then what is you going to be, what you are supposed to do as a Kshatriya. That is talking about Karma Yoga, is bringing the karma. Then fifth section is talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga. So then from verse number 40 to all the way to 53. 54 to onwards, Arjuna is asking the first question about the self-realization. So you have talked about so much, discussed in detail about the self-realized soul who has fixed up all this and this and this and that. So then what exactly, what are these characteristics, symptoms? Can you explain that? And how does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? These are the 4 questions, broader question 1 and 3 sub-questions, total 4 questions Arjuna is asking. In response to that, 2.55 all the way to 71, 72 concluding, is the verses is talking about the qualities of a Sthita Prajna, qualities of a self-realized soul, qualities of a liberated person. So is exhibiting the symptoms. Now that is categorized, that is grouped. So that is at the highest level, but we can draw also some introspections within us. So what it means. So Krishna is dividing this way, nicely laying out. Gross body we already know. That's why he has discussed. The problem with the first and foremost is with the gross body, identifying with the body, identifying the designation, my country, my body, my family, my kids, my parents, and this, and my nation, my community, my company. This is going on, my bank balance. This is all there. That is the gross. So that's why Krishna talked about that already in the Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, fundamental knowledge about the body and soul. Now he is talking about now the gross, more deep within is the problem with the subtle also. So that subtle body is covered by the gross body. So both are the problem, but the deep also we have to cut those knots which are there within that underlying covers. We are not able to see. Gross, maybe we may be able to see. External things we may be able to see, the dust, the mistake, the errors we may see, but the actual inside one it's very difficult to see. We cannot even see mind, intelligence, false ego. Those are the subtle body, and so we cannot even see. Then how are we going to identify what problems it is? What is it covered with? So that's why Krishna is emphasizing more on this. Self-realization is all about the internals. So that's why it's not so much only, he talked about the externals in the sense, in terms of senses. So this section is laid out in terms of the how living entity, how the self-realized soul, liberated soul practices in terms of his mind. mind has the characteristics of thinking, feeling, willing. How he operates in these characteristics, mind especially. How his mind operates in different situations. And then that is the first and foremost he talked about. Mind is actually in goodness. When the creation has happened, the mind is generated from ego. Mind is generated when the ego in mode of goodness, in touch with three modes of material nature. Then goodness has this mind has generated. In the passion, intelligence generated, and then later on the senses are generated. So that's why the mind, he talked about the mind. The one who is self-realized, he gives up his mental speculations. He doesn't operate on the speculation. He operates on the full on the sadhu and shastra and guru. So then he talked about, and then how he is not agitated by anything, external things. It could be happiness, distress, somebody criticizing, whatever. All those things he talked about two, three verses in the first few verses about the mind, how a mind should be fixed up, not withered by anything. And then Krishna talked about the senses, because mind is underneath the mind. What is there? Control of the senses is mind. So that is part. Senses are part of the gross body, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, what we see. But underlying even within that also there is subtleness. What you see is eyes, but the eyes are attracted to its subtle objects. That's a little bit subtle. Not so much you can see. Means you see it, but you don't realize it. What the eyes are attracted with, what the nose is attracted with, what the tongue is attracted with, what the skin, touch sensation is attracted with, what the ears, the sound is attracted with. We see this verse, Apuryamanam Prachala Pravishtam Pravishanti Advat. This Pravishanti, the rivers are entering into ocean, but what is entering into our heart? Rivers are entering into ocean constantly, but ocean is never getting agitated. But what is entering into our heart? That we have to see. It is through the senses, the ear hole, the nose holes, and through skin pores. Everywhere there is a hole. How is it? What is exactly is entering? What exactly is entering into our heart? That's what we have to see. We'll come to that. Just let me finish this layout of this section so that we understand the context clearly. So the senses, he gave the example how the senses must be, the person who is situated in is not like again he talks about two verses also, Jayito Vishan Pamsa, that is about the ordinary living entity who is attracted by senses and sense objects, this karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, very easily attracted. We don't even know that we are attracted, and we are getting more and more implicated by it. We just go on with the life. That is the ordinary person. He gave that example. And then he gave an example of one who is liberated on the other side, completely aloof. He is not agitated by it. Just like a tortoise, automatically anything comes, he doesn't want to engage in, he immediately contracts. Senses. Kurmo amganiva. Yada samharate chayam kurmo. Samharate chayam. Immediately contracts, he brings it into within his shell. So, like that, and we see the tortoise example again and again in multiple places. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contrasted, we were discussing the other day, and Jagannath Leela also in connection with 3717 of Bhagavatam verse. Very detailed subject matter. We didn't have much time, discussed only at high level, but the deep points. So Lord Jagannath is exhibiting also the deep separation that is at the highest level. But one point we can learn at our level is that Lord Jagannath is contracting his senses because he is in deep separation from Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is contracting deep separation from Krishna in the Radha Bhav. Radha Viraha Vidura and Krishna Viraha Vidura. Both. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna Viraha Vidura in the mood of Radharani, and Jagannath Krishna is in the mood of Srimati Radharani is in Krishna Viraha Vidura. The transcendental, these are supreme personality of Godhead, both of them, same Krishna himself, but in a different mood. They are playing. So that is their personality. But their experience, their contracting the senses, his eyes, his limbs, especially his eyes became big and his hands became contracted, his legs became contracted, he went into the stomach. That's why we don't see hand, neither we see legs. And same thing has happened to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. When he ran, he jumped into ocean, as it is mentioned here also. Apuryamanam, Achala Pradesh, Samudram, Apa. So the rivers are entering into ocean. So Mahaprabhu, in deep ecstasy, he thought. So the Jagannath Puri also, maybe I will not discuss too much because I will be broadcasting that also later on about the Jagannath Puri's past tense completely, about the place, about there are so many names for Jagannath Puri, the Jagannath's significance, all those instructions from each and every, especially main characters, Indradyumna, Manad, and Vidyapati and Viswavasu, what we are supposed to learn. More than story, these are very important from Bhagavad Gita or from any. So that's why Prabhupada is always presenting philosophy. We must understand what we are supposed to take and implement. Okay, so we'll not go into detail of it. So here coming back to this point of the senses. So the tortoise, the contracting is for us to learn a lesson is when things are happening, agitation is happening, we must withdraw. We must not agitate. We must be how it can be done is a constant practice. Immediate answer is, as Krishna is telling Arjuna, yes, it is very difficult, but one way to do is abhyas, practice, constant practice, everyday practice, not once in a blue moon, once in a while. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamana yat partha anuchintayan. Constantly think of me, meditate upon me, practice, fight, do your duty, but at the same time practice. So it must be done regularly. So that's what Krishna is emphasizing. The first is the mind, because mind is underneath the mind is senses and senses to sense objects. So that's why Krishna is presenting in a systematic manner. Self-realized soul acts in certain way, how his mind acts, how his senses operate, and then how is the intelligence operate. Now the mind, senses, above these actually, indriyani parani ahur indriyebhyam paramana indriyani parani ahur indriyebhyam paramana manasastu parabuddhe parasastu saha. Above senses is the mind, above mind is intelligence, above intelligence is the soul, above soul is the super soul. So that's why above the three modes, the intelligence must be sharpened by Shastra. Then the mind will be controlled there. Then the senses will be controlled. That's why Krishna is presenting mind, then the senses, then he is talking about the intelligence. The last 4 verses, just before verse, I think. 60 till 68, 69 has both aspects. 69 directly speaking intelligence, like how the Yanisha Sarvabhutanam, so he is talking about Jagrata Samyamya. One who is sleeping, so one who is self-realized is not sleeping, means he is not ignorant of the fact of his identity and his relationship with Krishna and is acting on that relationship, always thinking how to perform activity, how to become an instrument in the hands of Guru and the Supreme Lord. That is constantly is meditating. That's why he is never in the sleeping mode. When everybody, the intelligence is 2 ways. Prabhupada divides that purport based on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So that is directly is talking about intelligence. Those 4 verses before that is talking about the mind, senses, intelligence. In this way, self-realization, how they act, is talking about. Now, the last verse, Yanisha Sarvabhutana, indirectly, when an ordinary living entity sleeps, he is operating on the material consciousness. Throughout the day, he is awake, he is working. That time also is an ignorant of his actual fact of his relationship. He is not consciously thinking of Krishna, his identity, his instrument being in the hands of the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master. That he is not thinking of. So that's why he is becoming a proprietor and enjoyer constantly. And then obviously he is getting implicated because he is not operating at another level. So that is his problem. So that indirectly, then while sleeping also, obviously he is in ignorance. Well, in general, even in the literal sense, we take also in the night time. So when everybody is sleeping, self-realized soul, what time Prabhupada used to sleep? At 2 o'clock, after 12. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also same thing. So few hours, 2 to 4 hours. Even 6 Goswami is also same thing. 2 hours maximum their time. So this way, and Prabhupada also didn't sleep for many days also. So sometimes even book printing during the Chaitanya Charitamrita 7-volume marathon, it has to happen in 2 months or 2 months or so. It happened. All the devotees printing and publishing and this painting, all going on simultaneously like a big marathon. There no sleep for a few days for many of those devotees. not much eating also. So this way, this is how we have to realize that fact when we are getting and reading these books. Now everything is available. Those days in the beginning, when Prabhupada started, even these books were not available. Chaitanya Charitamrita was not available in the beginning. Later on, by seeing the interest of the what's her name, Govinda Dasi Mataji, and what name, I forget his her husband's name. They both were reading teachings of Lord Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book. Then Prabhupada told, okay, I will translate Chaitanya Charitamrita immediately. Then he started. So later on, Bhagavad Gita also initially they were reading because Prabhupada's manuscript was stolen. There in India itself it was gone sold. And then here, after coming here, somebody stole it. So Prabhupada had to face so many challenges. So, so that's why they used to refer to another book, but Prabhupada used to explain authentic from our Acharya's commentary. Just to refer the verses, he used to read from the other book. In this way, we can see. So, anyway, coming back to the point. So, that is the ignorance of the fact. One who is already in the night time sleeping. So, they are already ignorance in the fact. But the self-realized soul doesn't use his time too much in sleeping, very regulated in sleeping. So it's always actively thinking of Krishna, actively engaging his time in Avyartha Kalatvam is one of the characteristics of this self-realized soul. So it doesn't waste any time. So now that indirectly what it means, while sleeping, what are we doing? So because this is the last section. This last section, Krishna is talking about the desires. Why is he talking about the desires? What is mind doing? Mind is doing thinking, feeling, willing. What does that mean? Desires. Why are we here in the material world? Why Krishna is talking about desire in this verse? Desires are entering like rivers entering into ocean. This is the 70th verse. 71st verse also is telling one who is self-realized, he doesn't attracted and he gives up all those material desires. He becomes desireless. That means he is fully desires of serving Krishna. Is no material desire whatsoever. Vihaya Kaman, Vihaya Kaman, yes Sarvan, all, everything, all the, anything to do with the material things, sense enjoyment for himself, he doesn't do. He completely gives up. But that doesn't mean it becomes desireless or senseless. No. He is full of desire to serve Guru and spiritual master and devotees and is fully operating on that platform. So that's why these two verses is talking about it. Even the last verse also, while sleeping, what is happening? People are desiring. That's why the tiger is killing, or we are entered into somewhere else, we are with somebody, we are eating, we are dancing or whatever, watching movie together, whatever. Different desire different people has while sleeping. So why is this? So Krishna is talking about this because indirectly he is talking about already. He is preparing that from the previous verse from 69, 70, 71 is talking about the desires. Because this is the cause of our living. This is because Krishna is indirectly talking about ego, false ego. Because that's why if you look at in 7th chapter, Krishna is explaining in detail there in the 7th chapter why we are here in the material world. Ichcha dvesha samutvena dvandva mohena bharata. Because of our desire to enjoy separately from the Lord and enviousness that is coming from the false ego. Now we can see why Krishna is talking about these various verses. The mind, senses, intelligence and desires is nothing but coming from false ego. Otherwise, why would we, if we have a real ego, always identifying as a servant of Krishna, identifying I am being the instruments in the hands of Lord. He is the supreme enjoyer, I am the being enjoyed. He is the proprietor, I am the instrument, I am serving, I am supposed to offer everything because everything belongs, he is the proprietor, I am not the proprietor. If we have that tendency, if that is not the tendency we have opposite tendency. We are proprietor, we are enjoyer. Where is it coming from? Because of false ego. Real ego in spiritual body, in our original consciousness, this is not there. The actual, it is real ego is there. But that means we exactly know what is. We are right now, we have Tattva Vibrama. Sadhya, Sadhana Vibrama. All these Vibramas are there. Means illusion about our identity, illusion about the identity of the Supreme Lord. We may know some extent, but we are not completely aware of the fact. We haven't digested. We may know theoretically to some extent, not even theoretically know fully, and to some extent we may know, but in literal practical application, we haven't really, it hasn't come to senses, mind and intelligence fully. So that's why we are still operating at a different levels. So that's why Krishna is bringing the point of false ego, bringing the point of underlying The false ego is nothing but desire, separate desire from the Lord, separate desire from Guru, separate desire from founder Acharya. So this is the biggest problem. Everything to do is, this is the problem. So that's why the last and foremost are important section. So, and this river, comparing rivers entering into ocean is also very, very important example, actually. So it has multiple points. So first point Krishna is making, main point Krishna is making. So let's see how Prabhupada is dividing. Prabhupada is dividing here. So is 5-6 points Prabhupada is making. Ocean study is filled with um, uh, many, the whole water, more and more water, but it is never agitated. It is steadily fixed. That is the main point actually Krishna wants to make. Self-realized soul, despite so many desires may be coming, somebody saying this or somehow or the other, because he's seeing somebody doing this or somebody getting promoted, somebody doing more better service, but he is not agitated with any of this. So many incoming, like various thoughts are flowing into him through others or by seeing them, even though they might not be directly talking to him or expressing to him, but still he is seeing and he is not getting agitated by seeing any of them. So that is what is the main first and foremost point. He study. Like ocean is, did we ever see the oceans? And the Prabhupada talks about, he is explaining how the oceans, we are seeing only these Atlantic Pacific ocean. This is in the whatever we see in this earthly planet. That also we see only one ocean, salty ocean. There are 7 oceans which we are not seeing other oceans. Liquor ocean, honey ocean, ghee ocean, yogurt ocean, all these oceans we are not seeing. Structure of the 5th canto has all those details. So this is the earthly planet. A 14th planet, you imagine what is there. We don't even know, but we think we know better than the Lord and Guru. So, and even this is in one universe, smallest universe. How many universes? Prabhupada is talking. Millions of universes are floating in air. Imagine the ocean is just like a drop. Millions of oceans are floating in the air. How is it? So everything by under his direction, under his order, everything is operating. The material energy, the external energy, Durga Devi is taking care of this. Everything is in his control. Everything is floating. Nothing is breaking. Things are happening exactly as it's supposed to. Not an inch moves. Not a thing doesn't happen wrongly. Everything happens perfectly. This is the Lord's. That's why He is the proprietor, He is the controller, He is the enjoyer. So that we have to understand clearly. That is the first and foremost. The self-realized soul is steady, is fixed up, is not agitated. We will cover the examples also. Then, Prabhupada is further emphasizing that. He's emphasizing the same point. He lost all inclinations to sense enjoyment, although desires are present, as we were discussing. And then others. Now he explained about the self, but how about others? Others are fully onto the point of liberation, including material success, but no peace whatsoever. So many different types of. Somebody is operating at different level. Like there is a bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakali asam. Devotees is always peaceful. They are always peaceful. That's what Krishna is talking about ultimately. If you want to get peace, what kind of peace? Not ordinary peace. Just sit and relax, sit in a park, or go to a movie, be relaxed. That is peace. No, actually, it is not so. Not that kind of peace, that kind of happiness. Krishna is not talking about that. Brahma Saukyam Anantam. That kind of peace he is talking about. Ultimate happiness, not temporary flexible happiness, not temporary peace for a few minutes. No, he is not talking about that. He is talking about the self-realized fully at the Brahman platform. That's what he is talking about. That's why he is concluding with that. Eshi Brahmi Sthita, not ordinary situation. At the stage of fully fixed, fully liberated condition. Brahmabhuta stage. That is the stage Krishna is talking about. So that's why others up to the point of liberation, material success, but actual real peace they don't have. They never. And then some people are after. There is a bhukti. Bhukti means one who is operating at the mode of ignorance, just go or passion maybe. More passion. They will keep on doing so many activities after working day and night for so many things. But after desiring something in return, name, popularity, whatever, you name it, and the passion, this is the bhukti. they want to enjoy also. Some at a higher level, they don't want anything in return at one level. Means they are still not thinking that this belongs to Krishna. Let me be sad. Everything. Let me offer all results to Krishna. Is not. They are not attracted by Krishna actually. They are attracted by doing charity work, but they don't. They have so many things. They don't want anything in return. So that is there, but that doesn't mean they are operating at the bhakti level. So that is at lower than that they are operating. So some are operating bhakti mukti. Some want to liberate, merging into Brahman effulgence, or they want to become God, or some want mystic powers, yogi, bhakti, mukti, yogi, siddhi. Yeah, bhakti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakali asant. Mute, please. So this is the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse. Bhagavatam also is there. So that's why here Prabhupada is mentioning that in the purport. Devotee is happy in service of the Lord. No desires to be fulfilled. He is perfectly in peace. So in this way, he's talking about. Now he's talking about the ocean. So here the main example is talking about the river into ocean. Here Prabhupada and Krishna has already mentioned about this. Main point is intelligence is desire is fixed. His desire to serve the Lord is fixed. Is not agitated by any thoughts, because thinking, feeling, willing, that is underlying, which is mind. But the actual desire is the part of that real ego. So he's operating on the real ego. He's not operating on false ego. That is what main theme of these three verses, 70, 71, 72, including 69 also, underlying point. When he's sleeping, people are sleeping, everybody is desiring different things. Though on the basis of desire, they are getting different dreams. Based on their illusion, they are getting different dreams. Sometimes horrible, sometimes whatever, good or bad on the basis of illusion still. So that is also desires. So that's these desires are all based on false ego. So that is the first point. Now the oceans and rivers, it also means people think that on the platform of liberation, rivers are entering into. But there is also two concepts. One who wants to merge into Brahman effulgence, one who wants to become God. The other concept is the pure devotees. What is their idea is. And Prabhupada explains nectar of devotion, quoting Rupa Goswami. And then this also we see that those who are material, those who wants to be in this world and enjoy, they are compared with what is happening with them, Nirananda Vardhanam. They are operating on Asat, Achit, Nirananda. Asat means this, they accept this material world as permanent, eternal. And they just want, body is been given, I am working, I should get everything, I should enjoy. What is it for then? Otherwise, why am I working? I should get credit, I should enjoy. What is the problem with that? So this is what they are operating. That is why they are Asat, operating Asat Pranam. Achit means they don't have full consciousness, full of eternal, full of knowledge, no knowledge. Ignorance is bliss. They are operating on that. Asat, Achit. They are not fully Chetana, conscious of this fact, fully knowledge. They don't have neither Jnana full nor Vijnana, practical application. So that is Achit. Then automatically what is it producing? Nirananda. So Nirananda means no actual absolute happiness, no Brahma Sokyam. They are getting flickering material temporary happiness that they are going through. But the other side, what actual self-realized soul is getting, Satchit Ananda. Sat means full of eternality, is operating on the liberated platform. Chit is fully cognizant of his knowledge of his own identity and the Supreme Lord's identity, everything he understands. That is Chit. And then Ananda. What kind of Ananda? It is Mahaprabhu is explaining this Anandambudhi Vardhanam. Ambudhi means ocean. Ananda, unlimited, not even ocean, unlimited ocean of ecstasy. Unlimited ocean of ecstasy. And this is the first and foremost point. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Srila Rupa Goswami. I will be speaking on this much more detail. I will just give only few drops here. I will be speaking to ISKCON Columbus on this point of mercy on the Siksha to 6 Goswamis. Maybe we will cover a few of them. Depending on the 45 minutes is very difficult to discuss. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Siksha to 6 Goswamis, predominantly Rupa and Sanatan, we will cover probably. Other Goswamis, we don't know how much we will cover. That is next July 4th, Sunday, 11:45 or so, 11:30 or 11:45 to 12:30, 45 minutes or so. That is their Sunday feast time. So that I am speaking. So here Mahaprabhu is speaking. Para para sunya gabir bhakti rasa siddha to maya chakaite tara kahi ek bindu. The ocean of transcendental melos of devotional service is so big that no one can estimate its length, breadth. However, just to help you taste it, I am describing but one drop. Mahaprabhu is speaking to Rupa Goswami. Mahaprabhu is speaking to six Goswamis almost on the same line. You can understand. This is what Mahaprabhu is speaking. The first verse. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagna nirvapanam sreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidya vadu jivanam anandam buddhi vardhanam pritipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. That anandam buddhi vardhanam means when we operating on this cleansing the desire to separately enjoy from the Lord, cleansing the desire. We are trying to follow the instruction of Gita coming down in the parampara. Then we are getting cleansed. Then we are transporting from this material ocean into the from Bhavasagara. That's why Prabhupada sings a beautiful bhajan. Bhajahure mana Sri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Then Durlabha Manava Janama Satsanga Tarohoye Bhavasindhure. They're also talking, Prabhupada is talking. Please surrender, take the lotus feet of the Abhaya Charana Aravindare, the lotus feet of the Shri Radha Syam Sundar, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subramanian, Shri Gaur Nitai. By taking shelter of their lotus feet, then automatically we become fearless. Then we transport ourselves from material to the spiritual automatically. Then automatically, Durlabha Manava Ye Janama Satsanga. It's very difficult to cross over this Durlabha Manava. This human life is very rare to get. And then, despite getting, it's very rare to cross over the ocean. Ocean, you know how difficult to cross the ocean. Even when we are flying, also it takes long time to cross ocean. It's a long distance to go from ocean starting point to ending point for the even to flight. It takes time. So same way for imagine on the boat or on the shore, how many lifetimes we are trying to go over the ocean from material to spiritual. It takes a lot of efforts. It's not easy. So that's why here, Tarohe Bhavasindhure. So if you want to cross over, then you must take shelter of the Supreme Lord through spiritual master, by especially chanting and hearing. That's why that Pravista, as we are discussing in this verse, 2 times or 3 times Pravista is used. Rivers are entering into ocean. That entering means it must enter, as I was explaining, the senses. It has sense, the ear, there is a hole. There is entrance point, like rivers are entering into ocean. What is exactly is entering into our ear holes? What is exactly through the nose holes? Through the tongue, through the skin pores. Everywhere there is a hole. Navarandras are there in the body. And then the Brahmarandra is there here. So what exactly is entering? What is filtering? What we are filtering? That we have to constantly observe introspection. That's why Krishna is talking. Parikshit Maharaj is saying, Pravista Kannarandrena Swanam Bhava Sarvaroham. Dromadi Samalam Krishna, Selilam Yatasarat. So, as soon as a transcendental sound enters into the heart through the ear holes, then it must enter into the heart. If he is very attentive, very sincere, very patient and tolerant, then it is going to enter into the heart. If not, then it is not entering actually. It is just covered, just like the ear has so much wax. It gets clouded there itself. It doesn't go sink into the heart. Sometimes we see also, at the time of Gurudas Prabhu's initiation, Gurudas Prabhu is humbly telling his story that they told to bring ghee, bring all these things, and somehow they didn't know, or they don't have things available. They bought margarine or some, not even butter, margarine. And then the wood also, they didn't know what wood. They brought some other wood. And then when they light up, it took a long time to light up anything. And then it started fluttering everything. So nothing is actually firing up. So somehow or the other, after some time, quite some time, then Prabhupada told, you will have a slow and rough start in your life. Prabhupada told. So that, nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is happening based on the karmas coming together in the family and who we are interacting with, who we are with, all these things. Nothing is happening by chance. We see how intricate it is. So that's why Pravishta Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruvam. It must enter into the ear hole through the heart. Then Bhava Saru, then ecstatic emotions will arise as we hear with very rapt attention. More, it's a gradual progress. Gradually, we have to at least start attending. So, start planning to attend, then more and more seriously attending. No multitasking as much as possible. Sometimes we have to, but try to. That is what. More and more we have to deepen our faith, deepen our interest in hearing. So, then this will help us to be focused, to finish our even ordinary office activities also very quickly. Krishna will make the whenever actually when we are very much attentive to the spiritual subject matter, then Krishna will actually arrange everything. If you plan about Krishna's activities properly, then Krishna will plan our job activities. Everything else Krishna will plan. Our life Krishna will plan. So that everything is in reciprocation. Otherwise, what Krishna is equal to everybody. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. But again, free will is there. So if we have really love and you want Krishna to reciprocate, then he reciprocates in that way. But you want to be enjoyed by the material thing, then what he can do, he cannot reciprocate oppositely. And so it is according to your nature only you can reciprocate. So that's why when we have that deep desire to actually really take it to the heart, Pravishta Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava, then ecstatic emotion, because Krishna, you are desiring, your desires are aligned with Guru, and then obviously aligned with the Supreme Lord, then automatically through the mercy of the Lord and devotees, then automatically then ecstatic emotions will come. The ghee will melt and the fire particles will immediately ignite. And it is with the chanting of the holy name. Then what will happen? Bhava Saroram. Dunoti Samalam Krishna. Everything fire. And it also like the rivers are entering into ocean. What is getting evaporated? The rivers are getting evaporated. That's also we see. The river water is merging into ocean. But what is happening? People think that impersonalists think that everything is getting merging and that is like impersonal liberation. We become God. Everybody is God. You are God. I am God. But actually that is not so. Prabhupada is explaining Nectar Devotion, quoting Rupa Goswami. It is like the sharks. The devotees are like the going into the shark. They are not getting evaporated. They are going deep into the bhakti. They are not staying at the external periphery of just wearing the dress, wearing the neck beads. But actually they are operating at the internal consciousness. That means they are fully focused. How to use? Please mute whoever is unmuted, please, kindly, so that we can discuss this topic. So the Pravistaka this is inside. Please kindly mute. The sharks. The sharks are not agitated by the rivers mixing of water. Various rivers. In ocean, not just one river mixes. Various rivers mix into the ocean. Ocean is not getting agitated. Same way, various kinds of thoughts, various kinds of liberation people, Mayavadis, Brahmavadis, so even the yogis wants to meditate on the super soul. They want to merge onto the super soul, into the body of the transcendental body of the Lord. That is also not perfect. They again come back to this material world. So that Prabhupada talks about more dangerous that also. So it is like that all the rivers, all these various rivers, different kinds of people of liberation want to merge. They're all coming to the Lord, coming to the ocean, but they are getting evaporated. They are coming back again. What is happening? River water is getting evaporated, coming back. It is getting, sun is evaporating that river water and coming back as a rain. That is what is happening. Same way, these living entities are not getting merged. The merging, going into the ocean, entering into Brahman effulgence, coming back, or entering into the body of the Lord, coming back into the material world. So as the rainwater is coming down, same way these living entities also coming. So but the devotees, what is happening with the devotees? They are going inside, deep into the ocean, like sharks. Sharks are not getting evaporated because they are not on the external periphery. They are going deep in the ocean. That's why all these holes, as we are talking about, Jnanendriyas, Pravishta Karnarandrena Bhava Swanam Bhava Saroruham. Then when it enters, then the ecstatic emotions. Let me, I don't know. Let me mute. Okay, thank you. So Swanam Bhava Saroram Dunoti Samalam Krishna. So then it burns. Just like how it is a simple fact, simple examples. Like if you are on a tree has so many birds, so many nests. And we are also, just like it is mentioned, that also is there here. Achalas, it is mentioned. Puryamalam Achalam Pratishtam. Chala means moving. Achala means not moving. Is ocean moving? No. It's staying in its orbit, even though despite so many rivers are merging. Same way, so the living entities, two types of living entities are there. Ordinary living entities, the moving, not within the living entities. We're not talking in as a devotee, that category. General category is moving and non-moving living entity. Stavara, fixed, like trees, stone, these are fixed, they don't move. But Jangama means which are moving. So, like human beings, the animals, the birds, they move. So, they both are there. One who is operating on Nitya Siddha, first of all, he never come. He is in the ocean of bliss. In translation, wherever he is fully in ocean of bliss. Like Narada Muni, he is Nitya Siddha. Even if he comes into the material world to preach, to be with Lord's pastimes or to help somebody, he is not operating on the material platform. He is not agitated by anything. So, he is operating, he is in transcendental ocean. So, he is not agitated by anything. But otherwise, so it is like the ordinary category. Stavara Jangama Deke Na Deke Ishta Devata Spurti. One who is on the highest platform. So, he is seeing super soul in each and every living entity. He is not identifying with the body. He is not agitated by seeing anything. He is always seeing super soul in each and every. He is thinking he is the lowest. They are better servants than me. In that way, they are thinking. They are the Paramahamsa level. We will come to that Paramahamsa. That aspect is also there here. So that is what Achala means here about ocean. But another example, other understanding, the example I was talking on the tree. Tree I was talking about the fixed. The tree is fixed, but the living entity, the birds, the moving, living entity like human being, the birds are sitting on the tree. But as soon as you clap, what will happen? The birds will fly off. Because sound has come disturbed, then somebody is going to kill me or something, then birds will disperse from there. Same way when we are chanting the holy name of the Lord, when we are hearing the holy name of the Lord, as it is entering into the ear holes, as we are clapping, as we are doing the kirtan, then what is happening? Just like the birds are entering all the nests, whatever we found within our heart, within our ear holes, within our all these various senses, various holes within the body, everything, whatever these nests are formed, the whole to the heart connection, there are different nests, different networks. It is obstructing our actual pure consciousness. That is getting cleared. You are basically just the birds are flying out from the tree because they are hearing the sound. Somebody is trying to attack. Same way, as soon as the transcendental sound or the transcendental service of the Lord or the devotees or the Guru, then automatically it is transcending the nest, the network, whatever we found, the obstructions are getting cleared. So that is the example. Same way, the ocean, also the sharks are not getting evaporated, as we can see. Same way as the tree and birds, example by clapping, same way this chanting the holy name. That's why it is mentioned, Dunoti Samalam Krishna, Selilam Yata Asarat. Just like the autumn time, season, as so much muddy water is there, but the rains come, then automatically nicely everything gets, the dirtiness goes out and then clear water comes. Like that, all this, everything, when the rainwater, everything gets evaporated. Or the dirtiness is evaporated, the sun is evaporating this rainwater which is merged. Same whatever things, unwanted things are, everything is entering. As we are hearing, sometimes you have to hear all unwanted talk also when you are in the world, when you are working in the office. But those who are transcendentally situated, when we are operating in this platform, what will happen is we are putting a filter all the senses, five working senses and also knowledge acquiring. We are putting a filter, then automatically it is blocking that for it not to enter into the heart. But anything transcendental nature, then we are allowing that filter to allow it into the heart. Then automatically, then it is clearing, like all the dirtiness is getting cleared. So this way we have to understand this. That's why, so that is the point here is talking about the ocean. Many examples, many things when we say this Anandambudhi Vardhanam, we discussed that also. Otherwise, it is Nirananda Vardhanam, not Anandambudhi Vardhanam is happening. But we are not even realizing that fact. And then we have to go back to the example of Hanuman. Before that, I want to bring again Chaitanya Charitamrita so that we get the drops. Without the mercy of Mahaprabhu, we cannot cross this ocean. So let's hear about Mahaprabhu's further point about this ocean. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Leela Amrute Rasar Eka Leela Pravahe Vahe Sata Sata Dar. Sri Chaitanya Leela Yei Amrutera Sindhu Tri Jagat Bashaite Pare Yare Eka Bindu. The activities of Lord Chaitanya are like ocean of nectar. Even a drop of ocean can inundate all the three worlds. And before verse, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Leela Amrutera Sar. This is the essence of all the nectar, all the scriptures, essence. Whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela has come to perform. So that is actually the essence, the topmost tip of the ice cream. So even the topmost, it is already became about to melt. We just need to drink it. So that is Amruta. So it is the essence. Then Eka Leela, just even one pastime, Eka Leela, Pravahe Vahe Sata Sata Dar. From that one drop, from that essence of that Sar, one drop, the essence of that Sara, the cream of the ocean, one drop, each drop is like these rivers, various branches. So Mahaprabhu, we see that if you read in Adi Leela, three divisions, Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, and Antya Leela. Adi Leela is more of philosophy, where it is talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's branches, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's expansion, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, their branches, Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu's branches, Srivas Thakur. There are so many expansions. In this way, disciplic succession expanded like anything. So that's what he is talking about. So Mahaprabhu is one, Krishna is one. From him, all these so many branches. The essence, he is talking the ocean. From his ocean, so many different rivers, transcendental rivers. He is talking about transcendental ocean. From few drops of his transcendental ocean, so many different branches has come. And then distributing the mercy. The biggest branch is Lord Nityananda Prabhu is distributing the mercy. So that's what. Then further, we see also about Lord going to Jagannath Puri, as we are in this mood of Lord Jagannath. So we want to see Jagannadhera Darshana Kandaya Samsar Sabha Deshera Sabha Loka Nare Asibar. By visiting Lord Jagannath, one is freed from material existence. Kandaya Samsar. And this is the ocean of Samsar. This material existence. That's what. By visiting Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, one is freed from material existence. But not all men can come or be admitted here in Jagannath Puri. As we know, Western devotees cannot be entered into the Jagannath Puri temple. So that is there, and not everybody can. How many people went to Jagannath Puri? Even in devotees also many might not have gone. This is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, chapter 5. Many of these verses I quoted is in the first verse I quoted in 19th chapter Madhya Leela, remaining all from Antya Leela, chapter 5. So the other one also, further Mahaprabhu is mentioning in the Antya Leela, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Desha Desha Yana, Sava Loka Nistarila, Jangama Brahma Hana. Jangama is mentioned again, moving, living, which is human being. So then, because Jagannath is not coming, Jagannath is there only in Jagannath Puri, but he is coming out and performing Radha Yatra, but only some, 15 lakhs, a lot of people get mercy. But actually, what is happening throughout the world then? Who is bringing the mercy? So that here Acharyas or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, especially this is explained in where Pradyumna Mishra is getting the mercy from Ramanand Rai. Mahaprabhu sent him, and then author is speaking, especially I think Ramanand Rai is speaking about the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu is the one who is distributing. Otherwise, we don't even know Lord Jagannath, even if we know about little bit, but we don't even know what actually Mahaprabhu's mercy, we don't even know what is the extent of Lord Jagannath's mercy is. So that is being who has distributed? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually distributed it. The mercy of who exactly? He has revealed the identity of Lord Jagannath actually. He has revealed the intricate pastimes of Lord Jagannath. He enhanced actually and he revealed actually. And then who has brought that revealment completely to us is by Srila Prabhupada. He has brought to the whole world and bringing this Jagannath Katha, Jagannath Radhayatra, Jagannath pastimes. So through Mahaprabhu, through Parampara, through Mahaprabhu, through 6 Goswamis, in this way it is coming down. So we can see this ocean is unending ocean. Anandambudhi Vardhanam means we can understand how much this is so. Now the example coming when, so here the rivers are entering into ocean. How do you cross this ocean? So That is the biggest point. In this material world, desires are entering. Desires are like ocean of desires we all have. Then how do we rectify? How do we purify it? So various kinds of obstacles. Then one point we discussed in this 17th verse in Bhagavatam class other day on Thursday morning along Jagannath Snana Yatra. Three things are very important to do. Again, it is good to repeat. First one is waiting, patiently waiting, not getting agitated, losing patience. Pratiksha, very important. Then pariksha, we have to face the test. When the test comes, we have to face it. We shouldn't criticize, we shouldn't become envious of the Lord or devotees because something has happened to us. Why Lord did this thing? Why devotee did this thing or that thing? So pariksha means we have to face the test. Material tests are always there for job or interview, everything. For while education, then obviously we have to go through in the spiritual things, also activities. Also there will be tests. Pratiksha, waiting patiently. Pariksha, that is test. And then samiksha, introspection must be there. What is going on? Where we want to go? How do we get there? There should be small goals for a month, for a week, for a year. There must be goals. If there is no goal, that means we are not planning. If there is no planning, who is planning? That's like in Brahma Samhita that is mentioned. Chayeva yasya bhuvanani vibhatti durga. That is also coming up here. The living entity, the rivers are entering into ocean. So that is coming up here in the Hanuman's example. This ocean, the example, how Hanuman has crossed the ocean. Very difficult to cross the ocean. So out of so many people Lord Ramachandra has sent to find Mother Sita, then who has been given actually the confidence, whom Lord has confidence on? That's why Guru may have so many disciples. But then who will give the direct instruction? Who will have confidence? One who is receptive, one who is attentive, one who is sincere, one who is enthusiastic. Nectar of instruction of Goswami. Usaha, Nishya, Dhairya. That Dhairya, Nishya means confidence. Guru must have confidence that this person is going to do. Because if he gives instruction, if he doesn't do, what will happen? It is an offense. If it is an offense to Guru, his progress is checked. That's why Guru doesn't give general instruction. He will give chant and do service. All these general instructions are given. But direct instructions from Guru to disciple generally doesn't happen so frequently, so often. But Lord Ramachandra has given instruction to many of his different 4 groups or so. They sent different directions. That is also there. Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita is divided into 4 oceans. Watery ocean is divided into 4 sections: east, west, north, south. Each one has some waves of ocean. It is a detailed subject matter nectar devotion. So we don't have, because devotees don't have time. Otherwise we'll discuss that. But we are not at that level to discuss. So that's why we don't go deep, because the nectar devotion is deep ocean. So if you are interested, then we can discuss more and more on that topic. But we are still operating on the foundational level, so we have to discuss Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then hopefully at some point nectar devotion and then Chaitanya Charitamrita will go deep. But that is the challenge we have to understand. That's why we must have goals, we must have plans, we must know the introspection. Otherwise, there is no possibility to come out of the ocean. Anyway, coming to the point of the example of Hanuman. So Lord Ramachandra has sent for different people in different directions. Even in Jagannath Puri also there are. Where Jagannath Puri starts actually, where it ends, and different directions are there. How it is called, all these are there. In so many different angles of vision we can see when we talk about direction, when we talk about the ocean. It is not just one thing directly, literal meaning of the verse, but it has a deep subject matter. That's why this Gita is not ordinary subject, a transcendental subject. It has so many flavors, so many mellows of ocean. So it is actually ocean in each and every verse. So, but that will be revealed as we progress. It will be revealed. Prabhupada himself said, "Oh, I am reading. Oh, I never thought. Did I write this?" Prabhupada was saying while room conversation. Oh, very interesting. Prabhupada, yes, I read. Why are you reading your own books? Prabhupada, some get very get they get interested to know. And Prabhupada said, "Yes, I didn't write these books. Krishna himself has given this, revealed, then I wrote. What he dictated, I wrote." That's what Prabhupada said. Then Prabhupada used to read his books. That's why this is a transcendental ocean. He himself is getting that transcendental nectar, different meanings for himself at his level. Then imagine what is our state. So that means you can understand the depth of it. Anyway, so final Lord Ramachandra, three of them couldn't go. So three of them he didn't send, he didn't give any actually, because he knows what is going to happen, what is their level of consciousness, who can achieve it, whom he has confidence. He has confidence, full confidence on Lord Hanuman. So he has given a ring of Mother Sita. So who he will give? This is the precious. He cannot give Mother Sita's articles to anybody and everybody. So he has given specifically to Hanuman only. So that means he has full confidence on Hanuman. And then when Hanuman crossed the ocean, there are three demons. First one may be, yes, we can call demon or not demon. Also Mainaka. Second one is Surasa. Then third one is Simhika. What these demons represent? Because this is ocean. He crossed the ocean. How did he cross? We also have to cross the ocean. So what it represents? So let's understand that so that we can really come out of this material ocean. The first one is Mainaka. So basically, Mainaka was a friend of Lord Ramachandra's father, or Lord Ramachandra. So he wants to serve. So, but Hanuman has a great goal, actually, complex goal, topmost goal, very difficult to achieve, to go to Lanka and find about Mother Sita and then share with Lord Ramachandra. That was his mission. Very difficult. He doesn't know where it is and how to get there and so many things he doesn't know. But Hanuman, as Guru's order, as Lord's order, he went with so much confidence. Utsahan Nishya, that confidence, that Nishya is there. Pratyaksha, Pariksha, that is what really talking about, Samiksha, introspection. So here, Mainaka is representing his place of resting. So he wants Hanuman to take rest sometime. Yes, you are in a great journey, you should take rest. Otherwise, how will you have energy? This is the, but that is also an obstacle. When you have so many, that means what is this first demon is representing is don't get stuck to your comforts, various comforts. While we are engaging in devotion at different levels, there will be so many comforts. We want to be relaxed, we want to sit nicely under the AC. We know it's too hot out there. I will come in the evening. Now I can't come for service. Or this kind of, this is a comfort we look for. Now I'm just giving an example. So there are many types of comforts we look for. We are comfortable doing only this type of service. I'm not comfortable. Now even if you don't know, also we are not talented. Yes, we engage. So we know that there are many experts in our community also. So we engage those devotees. We know I myself are not expert in many things. So I engage other devotees who are expert in that area. So it is better for them to do. Otherwise, if you do it, it's going to take days and months. So rather, it is good for them to do because they have the expertise. So that's why. Also we have to realize that the comforts we are situated. Oh, this is not for me. I cannot do this. We directly tell no, I cannot do this service. Not possible. Sorry. So, but this is at level. Yes, it is okay. It's also okay. But we are not operating at the highest level. So we are supposed to do ways like this. Here Hanuman has done. He was not pleased by these comforts. He doesn't want to waste time. Yes, but at the same time, he's realized, he's showing by his own example. No comforts. Means we should be very careful what that comforts. Is it an obstacle to devotion? That we have to first and foremost. Always, this must be there always in our vision, in our radar. All the senses, all ear holes, all the holes of the Jnanendriyas must be there. This radar. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Then the complacency. That means we realize they both go together. Comforts and complacency. When this is there, it's very difficult to progress, very difficult to plan, very difficult to execute. Festival comes, what happens, we don't even know until the festival day comes. If you have planned enough, then we pray sincerely day before, then things happen. Exactly what we thought. Exactly. Whether it's Nirjala Ekadashi, Jagannath Snanayatra, Balram Jayanti, Ratha Yatra, Radhashtami, whatever, everything happens. No chance. If we pray, if we have planned enough, then it is going to happen. Because Lord will make sure that his devotee will perfect his activity, perfect his planning. Because that is his. Our duty, when our duty is done, then his duty he will definitely do. For sure, without a doubt. But the problem is we don't do. We become complacent. That is the first problem. Here Hanuman is showing by his own example how he is not agitated by these comforts, neither he was complacent. But at the same time, is showing is honored, is giving the honor and etiquette. Vaishnava etiquette was there because he was a devotee. or at least he was a friend of his Lord or his Lord Father Dasarath Maharaj. So, as etiquette, he is showing by touched his mountain. Mainaka was in a form of mountain. Then he offered his respects. He explained the urgency of his service. Then immediately there. So that's why sometimes Maharaj may, just like Jayananda Prabhu's example in the beginning days, he was a exemplary devotee of Prabhupada, exemplary devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada's favorite devotee, one of the favorite devotee, Mr. Prabhupada. Because he's always in the, even when Prabhupada is there, he was not sitting there or talking. He is always busy. Prabhupada had to call. Where is Jayananda Prabhu calling? That's how he was deeply into service. Because service is the Lord. So the Lord means service, devotional service. We don't say devotion, devotional service. Bhakti means service is there always. Chanting means service. So that's why service, we should understand the intricacy of service, deep meaning of service means. So he, in this way, same way, Hanuman immediately he has offered, he explained the urgency. So when we see senior devotees, when we see Vaishnavas, when we see Maharaj, so if we have service, we must be engaged in the service. We should offer obeisance, we should give garland, we should give water, whatever. Finish those few things and run back to our service. Don't get up then, who's going to do our service? Either we have to give it to others, we should try to do our service. Give few minutes, spend some time and do that and go back to your service. Or find somebody else to take care of that, come back and attend. So these things must be done properly. Otherwise, it's the Vaishnava offense not to take care, not to serve the great sadhu. More than the Lord, it is a devotee, as well as pure devotees. We must serve. Nectar devotion talks about. So that is the same way here. Hanuman understood that point very much. So that's why he rather touched, he offered his respects. He was not complacent. He was not thinking to take comfort, sit, relax. Yeah. Or devotee has offered, let me nicely sit and relax. No, he is not in that, because he knows there is a heavy goal. Is there? It's not easily attainable. So he knows. So that's ahead of his game. So that is what here is being representing. So the Mainaka is representing various kinds of desires in terms of comforts. Comfort, desires of comforts. Various desires as reverse into ocean. That's why I'm talking about these examples. Next one is talking about Surasa. So what Surasa is representing is obstacles. So Surasa is what he wants to do is swallow Hanuman. So he wants to test actually. Demigods told so to test. Surasa is Surasa. Surasa is a daughter of Daksha. Brahma has given the boon. Everyone whoever crossing that area, they have to enter into his mouth. So that is the boon this demon has. Surasa, her name. And then what is it representing? Surasa is representing, Surasa demon is testing your strength, testing your intelligence. So testing your strength and intelligence. How much? That's it. What is Maya doing? Maya is always testing us, testing our strength, testing our intelligence constantly. So how much we are strong, how much we really want bhakti, how much we really want to serve the Lord. That constantly. If we are not serious, obviously we will be attracted by Maya only. We cannot do. We will not be coming to service, period. There is no question about it. Unless we are really, really serious. So that's why prayer must be there. On top of our endeavor, prayer must be there. This is every day must be there. Then only. Otherwise, it is no possibility. That's why Prabhupada said, yes, not many people may not come to ISKCON. Many people may not want to hear about this transcendental subject matter, the deep subject matter, the very strong philosophy. They don't. That's why we don't want the ocean of people. We want the actual gems. We want actually those who want interested in nectar only. We don't want the crows. We want the swans. We want those who are really want to understand this. They want to transcend. They want to come to the spiritual platform, not simply staying at the river and as a river and want to get evaporated. Stay at the externals. It is not a show bottle business. This is a deep business. This is a very important business. So that's why Prabhupada was very much told. He is always very seriously presenting. Krishna consciousness is not a joke. That's why he is telling about the razor edge. He is quoting the Katha Upanishad that we discussed last week. It is the razor edge. We are not serious, it is going to cut. So this bhakti is like that. So we have to be very serious. So otherwise we will create offenses. We become envious. That is also showing in the next demon. So this Surasa demon is representing testing the strength and intelligence. Daughter of Daksha, Brahma has given the boon. And then what did Hanuman do? and is also representing obstacles. He wants to swallow. He wants to swallow our devotion. So that's what representing, causing obstacles, the diverting us from bhakti. So what did Hanuman did? So he used his time and energy. So as Hanuman thought initially, let me go. So he is trying to swallow. Then he growed huge, gigantic personality. She also grew. Like both are going up and up. Then Hanuman understood. This is not my goal. I don't want to compete here. I want to get to the final destination. What can I do? Then he became immediately smaller than the smallest. Immediately he entered into the Surasa's body, because that is the boon he has got. So he has to enter. Then immediately he came out very rapidly. Before he closed the mouth, he entered. He entered inside and he came out also. So he can understand. He understood what he is supposed to do immediately. How? Because he has the confidence, he has the deep surrender to the Lord. Lord reciprocated. Lord is revealing what he has to do at what time. So that's why he is being tested. What is his strength? What is his intelligence? So then obviously he was able to. He took a humble position, because to become. Otherwise, generally we think, oh, I have to compete. Oh, this devotee is doing. So this, oh, I can also do. So we cannot take tigers. We cannot become like a lion. Yes, there are devotees who can, do wonders. They can, preach, like ecstatically. They can do so many wonders in their distribution, in their preaching, in so many activities, transcendental activities. But we may not be able to. If we compare and we want to do the same thing, so that's why Krishna bina nahi tare pravartan. Without the mercy of Krishna and Guru, there is no possibility to do any spiritual activities, especially to convert others into devotees, to make anybody into devotees. It is not possible. For anybody, doesn't matter whoever it is not possible. So that's why we see that Prabhupada or any personality, we see that it is the mercy of the superior Guru. Only it is possible, Guru and the Supreme Lord, both. So that's why we see here, so Hanuman has taken a humble position. He understood that he became the smaller than the smallest, and he was able to enter. So that's how he decreased his size. He carried out his mission, proving he was not proving his greatness, not becoming growing bigger and bigger. No, he doesn't want to compete with Surasa. Then he understood. Then he is able to come out victoriously. He thought it is in this showing his power is not important as the goal. So in this way, yes. So that means we have to understand, we have to approach things always in different perspectives. As we are learning Gitas, there are different angles of vision. Same way, we have to see how to execute this service. How can I execute? There might be different perspectives. We have to also see, other devotees we can approach. How can I do this better? How can I improve my sadhana? How can I? Always we must be inquisitive to do these things. There will be different approaches, different angles to look at things, to remove the difficulties. So that this way Hanuman could approach. So I am not able to solve this problem this way. Let me think other way to solve. Then he could become smaller. Then he solved. So that way also we have to think different options, different perspectives, and then be always being humble. In this way, we'll be able to cross over these obstacles in this way, and then we'll be able to actually become victorious. Now the third one is Simhika. This is the shadow, as I was explaining that. What is it? Chayeva yasya bhuvanani vibhatti dirga. This is what is coming. The material world, we are captivated by this demon. What the demon's specialty is, anybody who is coming, if he is seeing that somebody is going, but he is under the purview of his shadow, immediately he captures by his shadow. Like we are walking front, then our shadow is on the back. So immediately if the demon is under the purview, then by seeing the shadow, he could catch any person. Doesn't matter how strong, how expert he is. That is his boon. That he has. That is his expertise. This is Simhika, his name. Simhika is the shadow demon. So it is like this is compared with the material energy, external energy. We are captivated by the shadow of external energy. We are not want real thing. We want to captivated with this. So same way, Simhika is representing that. So the desires. We are running after these material desires, activities of the shadow. Then is obviously Simhika wants to obstruct. In this way, Hanuman was going further and further. Then shadow is there, he is bringing back and back. Then he couldn't go anything further. Then he could understand. So this is not ordinary demon. Then he had to face. Then he could understand that this Simhika is representing envious. So enviousness is captivating by the shadow. So is pulling. He is envious of this person. He doesn't want him to go and get his goal. He doesn't want. So this is envious character. This Simhika is representing. But the Lord's by Lord's mercy is able to basically turn. So that what we have to do as Hanuman turned towards the Simhika and then ran that way. So he ran fast. Then he couldn't see the shadow. If there is a shadow, because if you are going in the front, then there is shadow on the back. If you are going opposite, then there is no shadow. Right? So immediately he turned towards the Simhika, not an opposite. Then he couldn't see the shadow. Then he could understand, oh, this is also not ordinary person. He could understand how to defeat me. So in this way, he conquered this demon of enviousness, demon of a shadow, demon of external energy, of creating the obstacles. So Hanuman was able to come out victoriously. In this way, these verses are telling the 70 and 71st and the 69 is telling how to achieve transcendental happiness, how to cultivate, transform from material desire to spiritual desires, how to become a shark, not become a the fruitive activator, like in the mode of ignorance, the passion, or the ignorance means completely, that is also same way. Those who are ignorant, they don't even perform any pious activities. They simply go on with their activities completely immersed. They are thinking they are getting happiness. And they will obviously have to get implicated. So many, they will not even get human birth. But the passion, that means they at least perform pious activity, but they are attracted by the results, captivated by the results. They want to enjoy the results. That is the karmis, they say. And then further is these jnanis, those are the impersonalists, the bhakti, the brahmavadis and mayavadis. All these are under this category of jnanis. And then yogis, you have this mystic perfection, siddhis, perfection they are after. So then they are also, this is not the highest level. They merge, they are at the coming to the point of liberation, but that is not the actual real liberation. This is kind of sayujja liberation, merging into Brahman effulgence or merging into the personal form of the Lord or the super soul. So within the body of the Lord, that is what they are doing. So that's why here, what is the remedy? What is the mother Devahuti is asking Kapila on the same point. This material ocean, how do I cross? The same point is being explained. 325-24. Ta ete sadhava sadvi sarvasanga vivarjita. Sargasteshu atate prardaya sanga dosha harahite. Hara means removing. Hara means why we call Hari. Hari means one who takes away all the distress, one who takes away all the sinful activities, one who surrenders. Not everybody. He is ready to take away, but if we surrender, we are ready to follow his instruction, then yes, he takes away. So then, oh my mother, virtuous lady, these are the qualities of the great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such devotees, such holy men. For this counteracts the perilous effects of the material attachments. That's what we are in the last, the 71st verse, Krishna is talking about that. Don't give up your proprietorship, give up your false ego. So, give up your unwanted material, give up your material desires. Vihaya kaman yes sarvan. Krishna is talking about. That is what same thing is. Krishna is talking in 15th chapter in detail. Nirmana moha jatasanga dosha adhyatmanita vinivritta kama dvandair vimuktair sukadukka sangnair gacchanti amuda padam avyayam tat. Nirmana moha jatasanga dosha. The same thing is, don't become proprietor. We are not the enjoyer. Supreme Lord is the enjoyer. And ego is serving the Supreme Lord. He is the enjoyer, he is the proprietor. Jatasanga, don't be having the false proprietorship. Give up that proprietorship, give up that enjoyment mentality, and then act accordingly as a servant of the Lord and the devotee, especially the spiritual master and devotees. That's what is been explained here also. Because they are called Paramahamsas. They are not crows. Crows are after what? Where crows will assemble? At the garbage. wherever the dirtiness is there, wherever the material activities are going on. There is no holy name, there is no chanting, there is no hearing, there is no remembering, there is no discussion of the Supreme Lord. That's all in this category happening. That is the business of crows. So they are not called Paramahamsa. What is Hamsa? Swans are doing, where are they assembled? They are assembled in the clear water. And they can divide, if milk and water is there, and then they could separate the water from milk. That is the business of Hamsa. They have that expertise. They assemble only at the clean places, not the dirty places. They don't look for the dirtiness. They don't look for the garbage. So that is the Hamsas. Imagine Paramahamsas. Sadhus means Paramahamsas. That means they are the ordinary Hamsa itself. They are dividing from the water and the milk, and they are at the clean. Imagine Paramahamsas means. That's why even the mode of goodness are also captivating by the happiness and the knowledge. They want to merge into Brahman Appalachian. They want to captivate by the so this knowledge and attachment is there still. But we have to go transcend even that mode. As devotees, we simply want to serve the Lord. We want to become the instruments in the hands of Guru and the Supreme Lord. That should be our desire, to serve, desire to please. So that is what here. So Paramahamsas means one who is operating at the para means transcendental. Whenever Krishna is speaking para, most of the context is para apara here it is mentioned. So all kinds of material effects, disturbances, everything we can cross over by the associating with these Paramahamsas, because they are carrying the Supreme Lord within their heart. They are operating in the transcendental platform. Not even they can separate anything from anything, means away from the Supreme. Anything which is not connected with Supreme Lord, they can separate right away. Even though they are surrounded by all those things, whether they are in the flight, whether in Russia, whether they are in Africa, whether they are within the club. I heard even, or His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, he goes to, because I saw in ecstatic in Ratha Yatra, he was going to everyone. He's in the park. So many kinds of people are there. No fear. He was going everyone, pulling everybody and making them dance, making them chant. They are not ordinary devotee can do this. And then I heard Maharaj goes to each and even club also, dancing club or whatever. So all kinds of religious things happen. But Maharaj doesn't have any fear whatsoever. Right? So he wants to give. He's taking the Nityananda Prabhu's role. Yes, Prabhupada is in the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, more merciful. So he wants to distribute in this way. So he is distributing this. So because they are Paramahamsa, they are operating in the transcendental. So even if they are in that situation, in that place, they can completely detached. Otherwise, for ordinary devotee, they cannot sustain, so they immediately get captivated. They get, they cannot continue in devotion service if they do it. So unless they are fixed up, it is very difficult. It is not for everyone. It is not recommended for everyone. So because this can be done by Paramahamsa. This can be done by the pure devotees. This can be done those who are operating at least Nishtha or above. Not for anybody and everybody. Because otherwise we get attracted. We get, we'll have to move come down from our, it's very difficult. It creates a disturbance in our heart because we are not pure. Our desires, so many desires are there in our heart. So when we get intersected by these severe material modes, irreligious things, then unless we are strong, so it is very difficult to come out of that thing. So that's what these verses are talking about. Already 8:36. We went way over. So any quick questions? We'll stop here. Any quick questions? 49. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.